Starting with some breaking news here on Stream Center. Did you feel that quake a short time ago? That jolt that we had? Well, we're getting some information about it now. Bayan, we're going to start the show with that.
Absolutely. Okay, started off as a 3.6 magnitude earthquake. I think the USGS now lowered it to a 3.5 magnitude earthquake. We want to go ahead and bring in Chief Meteorologist Alana Brophy in right now. Alana, we're getting calls from all over the place. People saying they felt this holiday. Magna, Stansbury, Mill Creek, Taylorsville, West Valley, goes on and on and on. They felt the shake.
Yeah, this was definitely something significant. And you know what's really interesting? This was in an area where we have felt shaking before. It brings back the memory of that 2020 quake, which was one of the larger ones. It was a 5.7.
Yeah.
But we felt it here at the station, and we love that folks are reaching out. The reason we felt it at the station, I want to show you a map really quickly. We're going to pull up the graphics. Updated info, as Bayan just mentioned, 3.5 earthquake. It's on Weather 1, and you're going to be able to see exactly where the epicenter was. To break it down, we saw this around 5,600 west, 400 south. So this was that was the middle of it. So it's not a surprise that we felt it here at the station, but it continued. It had a depth of 8.3 kilometers. I just want to remind you guys, we have seen a lot of seismic activity here in the last few weeks. There you go. There's a look at that depth and where it was on the map initially coming in at a 3.6. We know that data was fresh as it was happening, but people were already calling, weren't they? Those phones were ringing off the hook.
People were hitting me up on Twitter and sending text messages. And I got to say, so we were on the air during our 6 o'clock news when this happened. And tell me if you guys felt it the same way I did out there. It was like a little bit of shaking at first. And like this happened for maybe like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, right? There's a little bit of shaking, and all of a sudden, boom. There was a jolt. And I thought a semi-truck, because we're right next to 215, I thought a semi-truck came down the embankment and hit the building. That's what it felt like.
Felt like a loud boom, and a lot of the reports are saying that. Boom. In the grand scale of things, this is actually a minor earthquake, a 3.5, falling into that category of minor earthquake. We do have someone else who felt it on the line here. We're joined by Malachi Sanders, who is at work in Kearns. To be transparent, this is the sibling of our ABC4 producer, Malachi. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to just hear what you have to say. Explain what happened when you were at work.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it for you guys. So I work at Scales and Tails, Utah, and at Scales and Tails we have a lot of reptiles. And we were doing our typical closing hours stuff. We were like checking logs to make sure all of our animals are secure. And it was definitely a surprise. Me and the two other employees were definitely shocked at first. We didn't know what really it was. Me personally, I was stunned. I didn't know what was going on. And when you have a facility full of animals, it's kind of concerning. You don't really know who's getting out, right? But we kind of assumed, at first we thought it was maybe like a big truck, something maybe moving around. But we kind of came to the conclusion that it was an earthquake, and it was kind of subtle, but you could definitely feel the enclosures rattling around. So it was kind of a little worry for all of us, but yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Thank you, Malachi. Thank you for sharing that. What you were looking at there was that video. Did you guys see that video?
It kind of brings me to the way Brian described it as quick jolts, because sometimes with earthquakes, they're like kind of longer sways. Sometimes they feel more like constant shaking. But if we could replay it again, it looks like 3 sudden jolts there from our camera. This is on the roof, right?
Yeah, this is our tower camera that actually picked this up. We were able to cut it, and it kind of just signals that, yeah, it was happening and it was moving from the top of the building, noticeable. I also want to show you just a history of earthquakes in the Beehive State, okay? Because we look through the map, and we know we always talk about the big one, do we not?
Yeah,
it happens a lot, and preparation is important. And as we look at earthquakes throughout the state, our most recent larger earthquake was that one back in 2020. Oh, looks like that graphic showing those, as you can see, 3.5. This is just this year, so giving you an idea of that seismic activity, and then this also includes November. But we have felt a series of earthquakes here throughout northern Utah. That includes over in Uinta County, as well as Utah County. Lehigh had their own that they felt just a few weeks ago, and then tonight at that 3.5. And obviously a lot of people sounding off. We thank Malachi for chiming in.
And I'm glad you brought up that that bigger earthquake we had a few years ago. Someone from Magna called in. They said, hey, I felt the floor kind of creaking. And he remembered construction they had to do in the area to fix broken pipes. So that was top of mind for him.
I was here for that earthquake, and that was something that was very notable. The pandemic had just really started to amp up, so that was something that happened when COVID was just taking over. That ended up being a 5.2, but there was structural damage in Magna, and we also felt that at the ABC4 studios. We have a lot of lighting, a lot of things hanging from the ceiling, so a shake like that, I'm sure you guys, I mean, Brian, you're from earthquake country. Brian, you go, oh, what's happening?
Speaking of, I didn't know this about Utah. I moved here about 7 months ago, and I felt more earthquakes here than I have in the last 2 years in California. Seemingly, there's a lot of seismic activity out here, too.
Yeah, well, this is a seismic state, isn't it, Alana?
It is, definitely so. We have a lot of fault lines. The Wasatch Fault Line is a particularly larger one. And Brian, you're coming from California, which is part of that ring of fire, where California, Alaska, we get a lot of earthquakes and then tsunami alerts to follow. A lot of people think, oh, well, we're inland. No, Utah sees quite a bit of quake activity. A lot of times it's minor, but this goes all the way up through Yellowstone and Idaho, and we're connected in all of those ways. And tonight, definitely a noticeable jolt, as Brian explained it, and we went, huh? What's going on here?
It's a good reminder that there are forces much greater than ourselves at work beneath our feet, and also a reminder to be prepared. I mean, the state emergency planning folks will tell you that we have a decent chance of a major earthquake in the next 50 years. Think a 6.5, something in that, which is going to feel a whole lot more powerful than what we felt, because the Richter scale is, what's the word I'm looking for, Alana? It is...
that magnitude?
Yes. So, like, it is logarithmic. That's what I'm looking for. And so a 6-pointer, a 7-pointer is significantly more powerful than a 3.5, which is where the number is right now.
Hands down. And folks, Utahns from 2020 know that 5.2 was enough.
Yeah.
We didn't want to feel that shaking. We had aftershocks after that. So this may be a minor earthquake in comparison, but we have a lot of population here in the Beehive State, and we feel that.
I want to play the tape back when Brian was on air when this happened, just to see
we have
his
that?
reaction.
We have it.
Oh, boy.
No.
We don't
Wish
have it?
we had it.
Yeah,
Brian,
let's
give us that shocked face,
Yeah.
could you?
Yeah, it was like,
replay with
it was
us.
like, was that a quake? I thought a semi hit the building. Truly, I thought a semi
It
hit
was
the
a
lot
nice
of
little
things
shake.
like
It was a
that.
nice little shake,
Yeah,
for sure.
All right. Well.